All right.
Okay, I'm representing George McGill, who was the owner of the general store in Dawson, McGill's General Store. This is a plate that he used to give out to his valued customers, and it's stamped George McGill on the back. And just a premium that they gave out for better customers. And okay, George McGill was born on March 11th, 1848, and he lived till 1919. And he was born in Lower Tyrone Township. Parents were Enoch and Elizabeth. He was their second son and went to public school in Dawson. At 15, he started working in the coal mines. At 24, he became a clerk with Brown's store in Sterling Mine near Dawson. Does anybody know where Sterling Mine is? I don't.
I think it's around Jimtown somewhere.
Okay, back that way. So that would back that way. Okay.
Mount Pleasant, somewhere in that vicinity.
And then he, at 24, he was a clerk with Brown's store in Sterling Mine. Oh, I got that number 20. Later, he worked for Shoemakers. I still can't get used to saying that. Store Alice Mines in Mount Pleasant. And now, from all that experience of working at two different stores, and he realized that Dawson was growing bigger. I have a bug in this eye and one just flew in this eye. He noticed that there was kind of a need for a store, so he decided to open a store. And now I can't see. And from the experience, he had opened a general store, and it was in the 1880s he started. I don't think we have an original date or the actual date when he opened it. It just says 1880s.
I subtracted from what they said in his obituary.
Yeah.
The 1880s.
Okay. In December 1876, he married his wife in 1876, and they raised 5 children in Dawson. Okay, and the store, when it opened, they sold it. I explained it was kind of like an old-timey Walmart, because they sold clothing and shoes, food staples, tobacco, hardware and tools, machine, medicine and soap, tack for horses and livery. And the store was a natural gathering place for people. They used to hang around there and trade gossip and whatever else they did. Like every town has a place like that. And the thing that always strikes me is, not today you don't hear it, but they specifically mentioned tobacco. And at the time when they opened the store, they had their own post office, a train station, fire station, a public school. Their large businesses such as Ogilvy McCure Lumber Yard, a foundry, a machine shop, 3 hotels, funeral homes, furniture and appliance stores, several churches, dining and entertainment establishments, 3 barbers, 2 doctors, and a livery stable, and the First National Bank, which the top part was offices for the mining engineers and lawyers and things that worked with that thing. A couple of years ago, I did one of the barbers, and he never had a license. So the town had everything he needed. He could just walk to everything he ever needed for his entire life. He didn't. I don't think he went out of town for more than a couple times in his entire life. But that supported 3 barbers in town there. So that's how many people. I don't know what the total number of people were.
Population. Yeah. I think it was over 900 back then.
Okay. And he operated McGill's store for 33 years, and it's on 201 Howe Street. Now, the question I have for this is, that's about all I have as far as information. I have some dates when he was born, and I did that, storage. And his wife was Amanda Ellen Morrow, M-O-R-R-O-W. So that, in case anybody knows that name. Okay, now does anybody know what the building is still standing? Does anybody know what that building is used for now? Any guesses? That's our museum.
Oh, really? Come visit us now that you know where it is.
and
his grave is marked with a gold balloon up there. His grave is actually behind there, but we try to put the balloons where you'd be able to see them.
That big part is, it just says McGill and whatever the other name was. And his actual grave is on the back corner, and his wife's next to him. I was going to say something else. Oh, if you come down to the museum, you go into our military room, we redid that. We took a wall out and took the drop ceiling out. And the top of the ceiling is the original tin ceiling that was in there. That's pretty neat. And but I crawled up there with a ladder and looked when I could see all over the place. because it had been turned to apartments in there at one time. But you could see that tin ceiling goes all the way over toward top of the kitchen and all the way to the front door and back some even.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing they did that to keep it warmer in there. They dropped the ceiling in that whole downstairs, and you can't see any of the tin ceiling other than
yeah, so
we uncovered.
since we opened that up, you can see that part of the tin ceiling. So it's pretty nice.
Right.
Any questions?
Good morning. Welcome. You stand here among the resting places of those who built Dawson. My name is Sarah Boyd Moore Cochran. Some called me the Coal Queen. Others simply called me Mrs. Cochran of Dawson. This morning, I will share with you my story. I was born here in Lower Tyrone Township in 1857 into a poor farming family. Times were really hard. They were so hard that my sister and I owned just one dress between us. One would wear it to school while the other stayed home and worked. From the beginning, I learned sacrifice and determination. As a young woman, I worked as a maid in the Cochran household, and there I met Philip, the son of James Cochran, and he was one of the great coal men of this valley. Here, this is Philip. In 1879, Philip and I married, and soon after we had our only child, which is James Philip. And for a time, I believed I would have a very simple life. I would be a wife, a mother, a supporter of my husband's businesses. But fate had other plans. In 1899, my husband died. And just 2 years later, my son was taken from me as well. With grief heavy in my heart, I was left with a decision to surrender or to rise. And I chose to rise. Though many said a woman had no place in business, I took full charge of our mines, our coke works, our banks, and our companies. And under my hand, those enterprises grew threefold. I sat at the head of the table in boardrooms filled with men, and they learned quickly that I belonged there. I do want to say that a lot of this was left out of headlines at the time. They omitted anything that she did from the newspapers. And when they did talk about her, it was usually to either call her names or to kind of brush aside what she did. They believed it was very bad luck for a woman to even be near coal mines, let alone own them. And in most of the country, it was illegal for a woman to even own a business. So, and here she was when Philip left 2/3 to his son of the companies and a third to her. And so she was kind of babysitting them between the time that her husband died and her son was ready to take over. And then he happened to pass away. So everything really came on top of her. After my son James passed from typhoid pneumonia while he was attending college in 1901, grief weighed heavily on me. And for years, I wandered the great cities of Europe, London, Paris, Rome, seeking solace and inspiration. I studied their architecture, their gardens, their grand halls. I brought home these ideas and treasures with me. And those years abroad shaped what would become my creation in Dawson, which is Linden Hall at St. James Park, which is right over there. Has everybody been there? Isn't it amazing? I just love it. Built in the Tudor style I so admired, it stood as both a memorial and a testament that even in sorrow, beauty and vision can rise. She brought with her 60 Italian stoneworkers to build Linden Hall and actually built a home for them to live in while they worked on it and sponsored every one of them for American citizenship while they were here. They had their own bowling alley and their own swimming pool. I mean, it wasn't just a little house for them to stay in. I mean, she built a house. Okay, now you may wonder just how much a woman could achieve in such times. In my lifetime, I gave away more than $2 million, and by your standards today, that would be close to $50 million. And when I left this world in 1936, my estate was valued at what you would now know as somewhere between $200 and $450 million. I was, by every measure, one of the wealthiest women of my age, but I believed that true wealth was not in what you held, but in what you gave. And so I gave. I built Cochrane Hall at Allegheny and funded scholarships and professorships so that others might learn. I built churches here in Dawson, strong stone sanctuaries of faith in memory of those I loved. And in 1915, I opened my estate, Linden Hall, to the great women of the suffrage movement. Anna Howard Shaw herself spoke on my lawn to hundreds of men and women, urging Pennsylvania to give women the vote. And on that day, it is said that there were upwards of 600 attendees. When I left this world in 1936, they called my funeral the Ministry of a Woman, but I hope you will remember me as a woman who would not be bound by poverty, by sorrow, or by limits placed on her by her sex. My legacy still stands in the churches that rise above Dawson, in the halls of learning, and in the truth that a woman, even from the humblest beginnings, can shape history. I thank you for remembering me today, and may my story remind you that even from the most humbling beginnings, a woman's voice and vision can shape the world. God bless you. Did anybody here? Thank you. Actually, you can take one of those.
Oh, okay.
Everybody
Thank you.
Yeah. If you guys want to take this, is all the like a lot of facts and headlines. Thanks. That were omitted from a lot of newspapers. And this is I don't know if this is a folklore. It's definitely oral history. Now you know Linden Hall is right there, across that little hill, and I've always heard, well, it's built in a crescent shape. You know, that her bedroom window, she built it so that she can look out and see her son and husband every morning and every evening. So that's why she wanted it that, you know, facing this direction in that space. Did anybody else ever hear that? Isn't that incredible? And that just really, she was so thoughtful that she put so much care into absolutely everything she did. She gave back so much in the community. The article that I have here, you can barely read it, but it was written about her. This is her summer home out at Linden Hall. And it was the home that she originally lived in on Linden Hall at St. James Park, I guess. And it was beautiful. They called it a fairy tale home because it was just covered in vines and flowers. But in that article, the woman that wrote it was talking about her, and they said, you know, who are your friends? You know, who do you hang out with, I guess, because of who she was and how much money. And she said that money didn't impress her, that she was impressed by what people bring to the table as far as their character, their integrity, their talents, and that's what really impressed her. One of my favorite stories, it's on this little fact sheet, I highlighted it, was in the church. There's a 12-foot copy of Raphael's Sistine Madonna. Have y'all seen it in the church? But she outbid Andrew Carnegie for that. So can you imagine the two of them sitting there bidding on it? And she's like, it's mine. And there's only two in the world. There's only two copies in the world. And she wanted it and she got it. So I'm sure, God bless you, he was not happy. So yeah, and anyway, any questions?
How old was she when she died?
I don't know. I thought about that the other day. I'm like, I wish I did math better. But she was born in 1857, and I believe she died in 1938. How old was she?
I don't know. She died in 1936.
Oh, 36.
So like 70-something?
Ish. Yeah. Yeah, I thought, actually last night getting a shower, I was like, I need to do some addition so I can say I was this old when I'm like, math's not my thing. So.
And we do have a balloon at her grave that you can't see because it's so high, but the one that comes to a peak there, her grave is just behind there.
Yeah. Any other
In
questions?
case you want to go there, because we don't do the talk there because of everything so steep. So.
And in 2 weeks, I'm sure they told you they're going to do their parlor talk at Linden Hall. It's going to be about Sarah B., correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's on our Facebook page.
The
I'm
8th?
afraid I don't know the date, but it's not this coming Wednesday. It's the Wednesday after. It'll be 6 o'clock in the evening, but it's
Yeah.
on our Facebook page. Nikki does a good job with her Facebook page. It's a good thing.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Okay, everybody's here. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. My name is Colonel James Lockery Sr. Though most here in Dawson knew me simply as Jim Lockery. Before I speak of my own life, I must honor the man who made it all possible, my father, Joseph Robert Lockery. He was born in 1845, raised on a farm here in Lower Tyrone Township, and had only a meager schooling. At 17, he left the plow for the mines, working for Brown and Cochran. Through grit and determination, he rose from shipping clerk to superintendent, and in time became general manager of the firm. Later, he invested in mines, banks, and even railroads. Dawson knew him as one of its most colorful coke operators, a self-made man, helped shape this valley. He also knew sorrow, burying my mother, my brother, and even a child from his second marriage. In 1905, after years of illness, he passed from this life. My father's funeral, it was said to be the largest Dawson had ever seen. The businesses closed the town. The schools were closed. Schools dismissed. Even a special train brought men from Pittsburgh and from abroad to pay their respects to my father. His legacy was not only wealth, but an example that hard work and resolve could lift a man from the farm to the boardroom. And it was from his hand that I inherited 1/4 of his estate. And with it, both opportunity and responsibility. With my share, I began in 1907 to build a mansion on top of North Dawson Hill. And it's out here, guys. Of course, that's me. I'm a handsome guy, ain't I? Right here, this is our house. Very proud of that.
Is it still here?
Yes, it's still here. It's up on North Dawson Hill. When you go down to Dawson, you know where the Historical Society is? Make a right. Follow that road straight. You'll come to a hill that goes straight up, and then when you wind up on the hill, it's right there on the right. You can't miss it. Yeah, beautiful house.
Nudo's owned that house.
Yeah, Nudo's owned the house for a long time. I remember, I heard from listening from the clouds that even Ed Nudo had mirrors on his wall, up on his ceiling. They were a groovy couple, Judy and Ed. But anyways, yeah, that's what I heard up there, up in the clouds. So I love life, and I love speed. Horses, cars were my passions. In my brand new white steamer, which is pictured here, a picture of what it looked like, I earned the curious distinction said to be the first man in Fayette County arrested for speeding. It was on July 4th, 1907 in Vanderbilt, the windiest road in the world. And I was cutting those corners really good, and there the policeman was. But anyways, I paid $10 to get out of jail. A costly ride, but the story of it still lives on in folklore of Dawson. In 1898, I married Julia Agnes Goodwillie of Chicago. Together, we raised 9 children: Gladys, Grace, Joseph, Edith, James Jr., Harry, Julia, David, and Robert. Each had their own bedroom in our mansion. Their grandmother, my mother-in-law, lived with us as well. Just checking the time. She was always saying to be on time. I was late today. It has to do with the angels at the gate letting me out. Anyways, back to the reading this that Gina Ronzio wrote up here. Let's see. The children painted one turret room with blue flowers. It became the blue room. They decorated the basement, the walls as they pleased, and my boys filled the top turret with ham radios when radios came into, and they were able to speak to the world and beyond. No, just okay. For a time, our life was good. We summered with the Cochran family, traveled to Florida, shared our love of horses and cars, and my children swam in the pool at Sarah Cochran's estate. But fortunes rise and fall. As the Coke industry declined, so did ours. By 1939, we lost our home. The Cochrans purchased it, and we moved into a smaller house on the hill, which, as I told you where it's at, if you're parked looking at my house, look straight up the hill, and it's a house right there. That's where they moved to. Let's see. So those are okay. Sorry, I lost my place here. Okay, the loss weighed heavy on me, and they say I was never quite the same. In the end, I left Dawson for Pennsauken, New Jersey, to live with my daughter and her husband. I passed away in 1945. Julia passed away in 1954, and we rest here right in the Cochran Cemetery, right up. If you look close, you can actually walk up the hill a little bit. There's a balloon. You'll see it waving up. It's a gray balloon, I believe. You'll see it. You'll see the balloon. So remember me, if you will, as the son of a self-made man, a builder of houses, the love of speed, and a father who once believed in the bright promise of Dawson's golden years. I must add, see, I might be behind time here. Let me check my watch here. Okay. I'm coming back, don't worry. Okay. Okay, so I gotta tell you, there's also a great picture of me on that page this guy named Terry Ronzio does. It's called The ADHD Historian. It's of me. It's me. I was at the train wreck, the famous Dawson train wreck. It was in 1903, and there's actually a file, but there's a picture. A photographer caught me, and a bunch of guys went down to check out the train wreck. And I'm turned around like this, but you'll see that picture, and Terry will post that whole train wreck file on his page by the end of the day. So check that out. There's a picture of me there. There's also a great picture of me, and Terry will post that on the ADHD historian page. It's of me out in front of the First National Bank, the First National Bank, and I'm on the turn before the turn of the century in the 1800s on one of those early bicycles. It's a great picture of me, and it's in front of the old First National Bank, which also in the future would be the post office of Dawson before the brick post office that's there now. So it's torn down now. It's right beside the Jim Cochran house. So that's that. One more thing to tell you guys. We must save the bank. The great First National Bank building, which was built in 1897, is now endangered. My father put $50,000 of his own money in that building, along with the Cochrans. They put $50,000. Now think about $50,000 at the time. That was a lot of money. They built that building to last forever. So the building's endangered. Go to Facebook, and I guess there's a Facebook GoFundMe page. Everybody let's see, I have it here now. The Tri-Town area should gather together and help save this wonderful historic landmark. So that's all for today. I think I'm hearing them call me right now. I'm on the way. Thank you very much and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the tour.
It's the bank.
Okay, good morning. I'm Mordecai Cochran, and I was born here in Lower Tyrone Township. And my parents were John Sample Cochran, and my mother was Esther Cochran. They had a number of children, and I was the youngest. I'm the youngest child. I worked on the family farm. The family farm is directly down the hill here, over the hill. It's called Fairview Farms now, and this was owned by the Cochran family for many, many years. My true love was actually working on the farm and doing out in the open air, not confined to an office or anything like some of my brothers were in office jobs and so on for the Cochran Coal and Coke Company. I was born October 8th, 1797. My wife, I took a wife at an early age. Her name was Susanna Welsh. And Susanna actually was from Lower Tyrone as well. To our union, we had 13 children. We had 9 children that became very affluent in the area and in our community. And then we had 3 that were that had died in infancy as well. I worked the farm, but then I got drawn into the coal and coke scene. Our farms, and this one here, the one over here, Spring Grove, all of them are on the outcrop of the Connellsville mining sites or the Connellsville coke drawing sites. This was an interesting project for me when I got involved. We did not know actually about the coking as well, and we was experimenting on that, and I had a friend from Connellsville, and his name was Provence McCormick, and Provence McCormick had built 2 small coke ovens above the town of Broadford, close to Connellsville. He, from this oven, drew several bushels of coal or coke, as it was when it came out of the oven. But at that time, nobody was buying coke for usage. They thought it was a good product, but they didn't know for what. And so we tried to introduce it. So Mr. McCormick and we decided to take it to a foundry in Cincinnati, Ohio. We took it to the foundry in Cincinnati, just about 1,000 bushel. And we floated the York River with this coke, and when we got it to Cincinnati, the Smalley foundry, the gentleman who ran the foundry, Mr. Smalley, said he was not interested. What would I do with that? We tried to explain to him that it burnt a lot longer than coal, and it was a lot hotter than coal, but he was not interested. McCormick and we decided to come back to Dawson. We actually could not sell the coke product there, so we just traded it to another glass foundry. We traded it to them for general merchandise that we brought back with us. In 1843, while we were experimenting with the coking process, and actually I was the one that introduced the coke for usage in this area. In 1843, I asked my 2 nephews, Sample Cochran and James Cochran, to join my efforts in doing the coking process. We had a lot of ground. We had several small mines out in the country, New Florence Mine, which was out by where Linden Hall was. We had Nellie Mines in Vanderbilt, Spring Grove right over the hill. So thus, we had lots of land to pull from. We worked, and finally we built 4 ovens right above the town of Dawson. There was a bend in the river called Sterling Run, so we named it Sterling Mines. And we produced 12,000 bushels of coke there, and then being that we would not give up, the Cochrans that is, McCormick did, he never coked again, but the Cochrans was bound to determine we were going to sell this product. So we loaded flat-bottom boats, which were made right here in Dawson. We took the flat-bottom boats down the Youghiogheny River again to Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, Smiley said, "You brought me this several months ago. I don't want it again." And we said, "Hey, this is different. You'll see." So I don't know how we made it any different because it was ovens and we drew it out the same way, maybe left it in longer. But nevertheless, he tried the product and he liked the product. He thought that he could use this product. So that was the first Coke that was ever sold for money. It was sold for 7 cents a bushel, and they amassed quite a fortune selling the Coke at this very meager rate. All the Cochrans, the Stampy, James, and James was really the go-getter of the bunch. Mordecai was getting older. He had some mines here that he ran himself, he and his children, and he ran the mines, his own personal mines that he owned, up until 1868 when he retired. Upon retiring, he sold all the mine interests to his sons or anybody that wanted it in the family. And after he sold the interest, then I retired, of course, onto the farm and lived on the farm until my death. The main Cochran that really pushed the family business was James, and James became quite the millionaire. He made money hand over fist, and he actually, when he died, he was a multimillionaire. James was very frugal with the money, but he brought a lot of fortune and fame to Fayette County, and they're still noted for the first coking today. And so, as I said, I retired to the farm, and I actually retired in December 29th. I was summoned to go to my final resting place, and it's here in, nonetheless, Cochran Cemetery, where most of the Cochrans are buried today. So we hope you've enjoyed part of the cemetery tour, and now you can move on to the next gentleman.
Good morning, folks. My name is Otto Has, and I was the owner-operator of the well-known Dawson House Hotel, located on Railroad Street in Dawson. I was born on August 4th, 1872 in Brooklyn, New York. My parents, Otmar and Mary Blattler Has, moved to Dawson when I was young. I met my lovely wife, Sarah Jane Nixon, and we were married in 1900. We had 6 children together: Milton, Mary, Othmar, Sarah, Jess, and Ruth. After Mary was born, I purchased the Dawson House from an L.L. Gerard. For 40 years, I ran the Dawson House. The Dawson House was known for its room rentals, dining room, and bar. The 20 well-furnished rooms and dining service was known as the very best this side of the state. My friend Joseph Radilla was the bartender at the hotel. He's pictured right here in the photo there. And the rooms were filled almost every night, and the dining room was filled every day for every meal. Travelers and locals alike enjoyed the dining room. The hotel was very appealing to travelers because of our hospitality. The most exciting attraction was a 2-headed calf. The calf was born near Summit Mines and lived only a few hours after its death. I secured the head and had it on display in the hotel. Even though it's a bit morbid, it attracted a lot of attention, because back in that day, it was quite something. Hundreds of people came to view it, this curiosity, in just a few days. It even made the newspaper. I thoroughly enjoyed operating the Dawson House and developing it into the bustling, successful establishment. So that's why I continued the business for 40 years. The building has long since been gone, but if you listen closely enough, you can hear people whisper from someone that had a good time there or maybe even worked there. So thank you all for coming out today. And he's buried right up there, and I think his wife's buried next to him. I think 2 children are there, and I think a granddaughter just passed away a couple months ago, actually, in Ohio. So he was around. I think Renee at the front there, she bartended, she's not quite that old. She's old, but not that old. But she bartended there when she was younger. So, and I remember back in the mid 80s, I think it was, I was coming home from Pittsburgh and the sky was lit up so orange when I was coming down 201. And I thought, oh, something big's happening, and that's what was happening. It had burned in the 80s. So it was a big, beautiful building. I was only in it once because I was pretty young, but it was.
When I was in the 50s, we visited somebody who had an efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
Older woman and her maid.
Yeah, I think then they turned it into rooms, like efficiency apartments.
And they had a great big moose head downstairs beside the barber shop.
Oh, the double-headed calf wasn't there?
I never saw that.
No.
It was like just that area, the barber shop and that waiting area.
Yeah. I was just in there once when I was young, but I think just to pick somebody up, a friend was there and needed a ride, an older gentleman. So I walked in just to tell him I was outside, and that was it, because I was too young to. So, because he passed in 1951, so then I don't know who.
That was probably 56 or so, but these people were really poor.
Yeah.
I mean, the efficiency was all one thing.
Yeah, just one small thing. Yeah. In New York, though, that would have been thousands of dollars. So, thank you all for coming.
Take it away, Hazel.
Hi, my name is Hazel Irene Sherbondi. I'm going to speak with you about my late husband, Harry Jenkins Sherbondi, who perished at sea while serving in the Army. Harry was born on November 5th, 1913. He grew up in Dawson, and people called him Jinx Sherbondi. I met Harry in Virginia, and we were married in 1939. We lived in Arlington when he enlisted in the U.S. Army. Harry was a private in the Army and was serving aboard the Dorchester, part of a convoy, SG-19, which was carrying over 900 troops and civilian contractors from the U-223 New York to Greenland. On the night of February 3rd, 1943, at 12:55, the German U-boat U-223 fired a torpedo that struck the Dorchester and knocked out power. The Dorchester sank in about 20 minutes. Due to the loss of power, a distress signal could not be sent, and flares could not be launched to alert the escorting vessels. Many lifeboats were inoperable due to the rapid sinking and severe list. Some that were launched capsized from overcrowding. Survivors who made it into the water faced near freezing water and air temperatures, which led to hypothermia and death. The sinking is particularly remembered for the 4 chaplains who calmly guided soldiers toward safety and gave up their own life jackets to others before going down with the ship. Harry was awarded the Purple Heart, and he is memorialized at the tablets of the missing at East Coast Memorial in New York City. It is so difficult to talk about this. The death and suffering was so tragic. My husband was a kind man, and I miss him terribly.
Okay, Hazel.
My name is Ellen Quinn Wirtz, and I am the wife of John Hyatt Wirtz, and I came from Ireland, and I was born in 1857. My husband couldn't be here today, and he's always working, at the First National Bank at the corner of Main and Railroad Street. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about him today. John Hyatt Wirtz was born October 10th, 1852 in Somerset, and was brought up on a farm by his parents, Christian and Susan Wirtz. After attending the winter term of public schools for 10 years, engaged in teaching in the public schools for 3 terms. He took a course of bookkeeping at the Iron City College in Pittsburgh, and in 1872, he was engaged to bookkeeper for the firm of Brown and Cochran at the Gintown Coke Works near Dawson. There he remained most of the time until the organization of the First National Bank of Dawson in 1892, when he was connected with James Cochran and was elected cashier, later becoming vice president, which he held until his resignation on account of his health. He was also a stockholder and officer in the Washington Coal and Coke Company, Washington Run Railroad Company, the Cochran Coal and Coke Company, Star Supply Company, and Dawson Electric Light and Power Company. He was also connected with various other businesses interested in and about Dawson. On November 21st, in 1877, at the Catholic Church in Connellsville, John and I were married. And my husband and I have 5 children: Andrew Jackson, Annabelle, Ellen, Bertha Elizabeth, and John Taylor. We lived up in Jimtown up until 1891, when we moved into our nice home on Railroad Street, right kitty corner to the First National Bank where John worked. In politics, my husband was a Democrat, and there was always been an ardent supporter of the policy of that party. He was several times held local offices and took an active interest in the local affairs of the community in which he lived. I was a devoted housewife all my life and well liked by all, but at the age of 47, I met with a tragic and fatal death accident, and after leaving my husband at his church and on the way home from Vanderbilt with my driver, the horse bolted and I just was about to jump and I was thrown from the runaway carriage. I sustained a fracture in my skull. John tried to bring in doctors from Pittsburgh to help, but I passed away that Sunday evening at my home, July 25th, 1904. And I am buried at St. Joseph Cemetery in Connellsville. Following my passing, my husband continued on business, remaining a widow until 1906, when he married Caroline Odell from Allegan, Michigan. He traveled with the cruises to Palestine, Egypt, Mediterranean, and across Europe from Naples to Liverpool. John had retired recently due to poor health and died of tuberculosis in the Columbia Hospital in Pittsburgh. John passed away April 10th of 1910 and is buried here at Cochrane Cemetery. Now, my name is Tara Long, and our connection to John Wirtz is me and my husband live in his house. This is our house, and it is on the corner of Main and Railroad, down in Dawson across the tracks from the old Cochrane house and the bank. And this is a picture of John Wirtz up here. That's him. But he was a cashier at the bank. And I believe that's Cochrane, yeah. And that's the bank building that you all probably see. And right here are checks that John Wirtz had signed. My husband used to work. He did some work in the bank building, and up in the attic, they found a whole bunch of old checks that he, or I don't know, bonds that you call this, but he signed it. And the other things I have are just different newspaper articles. The article about her death is in the paper, and the other one is just, I don't know if you know, like back in the day, they just wrote everything about what people did from Dawson and in Connellsville. Even if you just went to go see somebody, they wrote it in the paper. So I printed some out. So thank you.
My aunt.
I'm actually Mordecai after a diet. See how big Mordecai was.